Do I need light? Yes, I need light. I always need light. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, let me get live here. Live on Facebook. This is the elevate your mindset. Elevate your mindset. Elevate your lifestyle. Live session number 2. Okay. Copy, paste, and I need to put the invitation in here. Hey, Rebecca. Hi. It is great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning.
Good morning. It's really nice to meet you like this.
It's fun.
It is fun, right? So hold on one second. I'm trying to put the invitation. Let's see. Oh, I need to go to participants and then the invite and then copy invitation. And then I can pop that here in the Facebook. Boom. Okay. Great. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm excited, and I'm excited because I'm home and I actually have my computer. Oh, and I was trying to turn on the light because I was in the city and I just didn't have any of my technology together. It was a really hard experience,
Sure. It can be very challenging when you don't have your usual setup.
It is challenging when you don't have your setup, but it feels good to be back home and I'm really excited about what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay. So,
sure.
Rebecca, what we can do, I'm not sure if anybody else is going to be joining me or, it might just be the two of us and that's great. What I'm going to do is talk to you about what is on my mind. And then I'm going to take you through a few exercises. Now, I don't want you to feel pressured, like you have to respond to me, okay? Just go at your flow, because most people will be watching the replay. And so I don't want you to feel like you have to, share, whatever you're going on. Because
sure.
Today I'll be asking, some difficult questions, and getting into feelings and thought patterns and all that kind of thing. So, all right.
Cool. Okay, well, and since everyone's going to be watching live, I'll go ahead and mute myself and turn off my video so you can just do your presentation.
Okay, very good. And you know what? If you have any feedback, how about you leave it in the chat? Okay.
Perfect.
And I'll keep my eye on that. I know how to do that from this computer. All right, awesome. Yeah. Thanks. So I want to welcome you to our presentation today. This is and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to say this, but this is the third live stream that I've done, but this is the second official video for the Elevate Your Lifestyle live stream or the Elevate Your Lifestyle 10-day challenge, okay? And our job today is going to be to, we've got 2 things that are on the agenda. For today, we're going to activate your divine feminine receptivity. Okay, and I'm going to talk about what that means in a second. But we're also going to activate your willingness to learn. Okay, and we're going to kind of recognize, the ultimate goal here is for me to help you recognize that your receptivity is your most powerful tool for learning. And learning in the divine feminine way is very different than learning in the divine masculine way. And I guess because I've just said it, I guess I'm going to just go ahead and talk about that right now. When I was a kid, I had a really, really, really difficult time reading. Words didn't make sense, and putting the symbols of letters together and forming words and then forming sentences that make sense didn't make any sense to me for a really, really long time. And I was being taught how to read in a very linear, masculine way, and it just wasn't right for me. And even going through school, I learned that I really struggled with everything that did not allow me to put in my body or to have a kind of experiential experience with learning. Okay, so my learning style was more feminine. It was more intuitive. It was more about kind of being there, receiving things and allowing things to fall into place, as opposed to having an assignment, having a timeline, and then having to go forward and receive the knowledge, and then to show that I've received the knowledge by answering the teacher's questions or showing my reading comprehension. It just didn't work for me, okay? And what I know is that it doesn't work for a lot of people. A lot of people suffer from having to learn in this way. And as you go forward as a spiritual healer and a spiritual life coach, your education is not the important thing. What is important is your receptivity to the divine, yes, but also your receptivity to business concepts and the big picture, but also your willingness to allow the divine to flow through you. So I'm going to get into that in more detail. I don't have a worksheet for you for today because I'm going to be, for the work, I'm going to be reading you some sentences and I'm going to have you write these things down in your journal. So I thought that that might be a little bit a better way to approach things today. So please make sure that you have your journal handy. Make sure that you also have, well, really, that's it, okay? I'm thinking that today should be a little bit shorter than the other sessions, but I'm not totally sure because I might go off and start telling some stories, and so we don't know for sure. Let's see. So what we're doing here with the Elevate Your Lifestyle Challenge is I wanted to give you a really big opportunity to roll into the new year with a new attitude, okay? So I am a business owner and I love it. And it's my passion to help other women really step into their business ownership, in particular, women who want to be life coaches and particularly spiritual life coaches. That's my forte. And this is really important to me because there's a lot of freedom that comes along with being a spiritual life coach. The spiritual aspect alone creates a tremendous amount of freedom for your time, your freedom to look at things in the way you want to look at them. There's freedom for you to There's freedom for you to be yourself and to embrace who you are. So it's not like, so as a spiritual life coach, I get to be me. If I were a career coach, there might be a little bit more pressure for me to show up in, let's say, a business suit or business attire or professional attire. Whereas as a spiritual life coach, maybe, you know, some flowy yoga pants and maybe a headdress, you know, or headband or scarf would be a more natural thing for me. And thus there's a lot of freedom for me to just be who I am. Also, with being a spiritual life coach, and to me, this is the most important thing, your story of triumph over trauma. So what you've gone through in your past and what you are, what you've gone through in your past is helping you to be a better coach today. So whereas people, you know, in certain in certain coaching sectors, they have to demonstrate that they are really, really flawless, you know. And actually, I know I do have a bunch of friends, because I'm part of communities, and they don't talk about their hardships. They never show their pain. They always have themselves really together. And that's really important for them because they want to appear to be the authority. Well, as a spiritual life coach, your authority comes from your ability to connect with spirit and your ability to deal with deep, dark things such as failure. And, you know, it can be anything, anything painful, divorce, you know, financial loss, lack, low self-esteem. Your ability to share that aspect of yourself is what's going to endear other people to you and help them trust you to guide them and lead them forward. So it's a wonderful industry. It's a wonderful choice to move toward spiritual life coaching because, like I said, there's freedom there and there's a lot of opportunity to be authentic. Also, there is tremendous time freedom that you get being a spiritual life coach. Your job is to show up and to create your life in a way that feels very exciting and authentic to you, which means that you go with your natural biorhythms. I talked about that yesterday, but you also get to set your schedule and see people when it's convenient for you. So I set my hours. I'm an early riser, so I see my clients early in the morning, 4 a.m. That allows me to live in places like Paris and Bali and still have clients in the United States. And that suits me. I'm not saying you have to have your clients at 4 a.m., but there's a choice there for you. And that's what's really important. Okay. Cora's here. Hey, Cora. Good to see you, darling. Thanks. So I'm going to just keep on working here. So no problem. I'm going to talk for the next few minutes and then I'm going to give you all some exercises, okay? Now, like I said, there's no worksheet for today, okay? And I want to make sure that you all are in the League of Badass Butterflies Facebook group, which I know you are, Cora and Rebecca. All right, and that's really all I really have to say about that. Okay, so as you consider pursuing your this idea of becoming a spiritual life coach, one of the things that makes this really important is that this this must be a calling, okay? And if you are choosing to be a spiritual life coach for some reason other than it being a calling, then the things I'm going to say are not necessarily true for you. And actually, since I have Cora and Rebecca on the line, would you all in the chat, would you just let me know whether you feel a calling to be of service to spirit, or is there another reason why you're here? Like, is there something else other than kind of an intuition or a feeling or even an imperative? For me, it's an imperative, you know? Just go ahead and pop it in the chat. Rebecca says yes, and Cora feels like it's an imperative for me too. Yes. So would you all in the chat type out what it feels? How do you know? That's my question. How do you know that you have a calling from spirit? Oops. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So Rebecca says she's not pursuing spiritual life coaching, but she's seeking to connect with others as a creative coach, which she feels is a fit as it connects artists and writers to the divine. Yeah. And she says, I feel led to lead others to pursuing their gifts. This is 100% exactly what I'm talking about, Rebecca. So, and you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter if you are wanting to pursue spiritual life coaching. This is a coaching, though, that has a strong feminine component to it, a strong intuitive component, a strong earth connection, like a strong connection component to it. Okay. And Cora says it seems to be an inner feeling or sensation, and nature and the animals give me many signs. I'm definitely called to be of service to others. Yeah. And Cora is has a farm in Tennessee, and she raises goats, but she's got all kinds of animals there, and she does therapy with goats. And again, it's connected to the earth. It is not a logical, rational approach to building your business, or it's not a logical, rational approach to helping people. Okay. So we do all belong together. You know, we definitely are in the same space because we are doing the same thing. We are tuning into spirit, and we are creating, we are a bridge between our client or our guests or, you know, whoever we're serving and the divine. Okay. With elevating your lifestyle, my desire is to get you to choose this calling and to act on it and to take it seriously. And this is because you are an extension of God or source energy, and your soul must be expressed, and your soul's calling is a part of your divine life purpose. All right. Now, the moment that you decide to pursue your soul's divine life purpose is the moment that your self-esteem rises, your perspective expands, and all the barriers to your success fall away. Okay. Now, I know you're probably thinking that I am crazy, because that's a really strong statement. I say the moment you decide to pursue your divine life purpose is the moment that your esteem rises, your perspective expands, and all the barriers to your success fall away. And here's why I say that, okay? Your soul's divine purpose is why you came to earth, okay? When you are aligned with that purpose, it's like you're in the stream and you're going downstream, okay? You're going with the flow. When the flow is taking you downhill, the soul is taking you on this journey, and you are resistant to your soul's divine purpose, and you're going uphill, it's really hard to swim upstream. You're going against the current, you're going against the flow. So, of course, it feels like you're experiencing barriers. Now, when you're going downstream, of course, there are obstacles and challenges, but these are meant to grow you, and they're meant to bring you closer to spirit, not bar you from spirit. Okay. It's not meant, these obstacles and challenges are meant to grow you and take you closer to success, closer to spirit, not bar you. Okay. There are no barriers to source energy. There are no barriers to the divine when you've aligned yourself with the divine. There are barriers to the divine when you've turned your back to the divine and you've gone in a different direction. You can't get there. When you're ego driven, when you're fear driven, when you're limited, when you have a fixed mindset and you will only do things one way, you are in a state of resisting the flow and spirit. Now, there is a lot of responsibility that goes along with putting spirit first, okay? The first bit is resistance, internal resistance. Your ego is the thing that bars you from spirit and success. And when you make a decision that you're going to trust the universe and not rely on your ego, when you say that you're going to trust your spiritual philosophy and not listen to ego when it says, yes, but you're running out of time. When you say, I'm going to trust that I can make it up this hill, and your ego says, yes, but you're tired, and you're old and you're not young anymore. Okay. Okay. You get the point. Okay. Ego is what your biggest barrier to your success, your biggest barrier to spirit. Okay. So pursuing your divine life purpose is really scary because you cannot rely on your old coping mechanisms. Okay. You can't fall back on survival mode behaviors. So when you answer your soul's calling, you are saying that I trust and surrender to the divine. And that means that you have to take risks. So some things you're going to need to trust even blindly because you have a feeling, but no material logic supports your feeling. So I'm going to use myself as an example, and I'm going to use this last move to Paris as an example. I was living in Fair Oaks, California, and I found my way there during the pandemic. And so I had been there for about a year and a half, I'd been there for about a year. And I was really liking it. I loved Northern California. Just loved it. Apollo loved it. We had a great community. We had a beautiful home. We had everything we needed. We had a car. We had safety. I had friends. I was athletic. I was, playing pickleball and really enjoying it. I had a river, in the backyard. Like, boom, I'm at the river. It's fantastic. Okay. So I get this feeling in my heart, and I get a vision in my mind of Paris. The feeling is longing, and that feeling of nostalgia, and that feeling that says, come home. That's the feeling I had. Come home to us. And I was looking, and this is how I've always traveled. But I was looking around at what I had just built, and the fact that I had just rented that apartment, and I just invested $15,000 in new furniture. I had a fantastic bed. My bed was so beautiful that I would actually, I was taking pictures of my bed and sending them to my friends and saying, isn't she cute? I just loved my bed. I loved my home. My dog and I were happy. And then I was told that I have to move again. Okay. And I thought that I was going to be there for 2 or 3 years. That was my intention. And then I got that download that said, go to Paris. And when I looked at the logic of it, I had no logical reason to go to Paris. I didn't feel connected to Paris. I mean, I knew there was a connection. I'd lived there before, it's still it was my favorite place, but I didn't feel like moving, and I didn't feel like moving at this time. Okay. And, it's also very costly to move. It's very expensive to move. And every time I tune into my spirit, she would say, oh, we're waiting for you. You're going to awaken to a new life. You'll give birth to a life that is much more your own. So here's my question for you. All right. And you all can pop your responses in the chat. Okay. So let's just say these are theoretical numbers here. Okay. Let's just say that you've got $40,000 in the bank, and your spirit is like, hey, I need you to move to Paris in the next 2 months. And you go and you do the total amount, you go and research your plane tickets and the moving, having stuff shipped and all this stuff. And you realize that it's going to cost you $20,000. So do you say yes? Okay. So you've got 40,000 in the bank. The total trip is going to cost you 20,000. Do you say yes? Rebecca says she literally just did this and had to follow her heart. A girl after my own heart. I would be crazy enough to say yes. Cora would say yes. Okay, how about this? How about this, ladies? Let's say you've got $40,000 in the bank, and the total trip is going to cost you $40,000. Do you say yes? Type your answer in. Rebecca says, yes, because I just did. Excellent. Cora says, I would want a backup plan. Yeah, very good. And how about this one? Let's say you've got $350 in the bank, and the total trip is going to cost you $40,000. Do you say yes? Rebecca says, I'd have to have a good plan. Cora says, that would scare me and cause me to hesitate. Okay, I'm going to read that last one again. So you've got $350 in the bank, and the total trip is going to cost you $40,000. Do you say yes? This is a yes or no question. Are y'all contemplating? Rebecca says, if it was the right opportunity and I had to pay it, then yes. And I had a way to pay it, then yes. I think Cora is saying, oh, hell no. Cora says, if compelled enough, I would say yes. And I realize I have made these moves before, which brought me here. Right. So I've been in all three situations and I've said yes every time. And here's what I want you to just kind of think about. Rebecca says, I've moved in the past with $500 in my pocket. Exactly. Right. But see, this is exactly the point. It all worked out, right? So many people will say, if I had the money, it would be no problem. Of course, I would go. But that is what I call conditional trust. All right. And this is coming from a place of exploring unconditional love. So unconditional love means you love someone without conditions, meaning they don't have to do things in order for you to love them. You just love them. And even when they do things that are wrong, you still love them. This is unconditional love. Well, it's kind of the same principle with unconditional trust. So I am someone who trusts spirit. I am someone who practices trusting spirit unconditionally. I don't have unconditional trust for spirit. I still get nervous, okay? But overall, I know how to ease myself into trusting spirit. And let's see, I'm sorry, let me just check the chat. I see the chat moving. Okay, hold on. Okay, gotcha. That's amazing. Okay, so unconditional trust, like unconditional love, is an aspiration. It's something to which we can aspire and something that we have to move toward in our own way. Because let's be honest, all right? Spirit is not afraid of shit like we're afraid of it, okay? And spirit will ask you to do some really crazy shit, and you cannot necessarily stomach everything that spirit is asking you to do. And we all have our different places where we are more or less tolerant. I have a really high tolerance for travel imperatives. If spirit told me, like I got that feeling like I got to go to Cambodia, I would go to Cambodia, even though I'm like, that is so not on my agenda for the next 2 years, right? But if I got that feeling, I trust spirit enough to know that something's waiting for me in Cambodia. I got to go to Cambodia, okay? So the feelings that you have in your heart and your willingness to make things work so that spirit can be first is kind of what I was trying to egg you toward when I was asking the questions about how much money do you have, and if it costs $40,000 and you've only got $350, do you do it? The thing that I would want you to do, and I would want to encourage you to do, is even though you only have $350 in your account, I want you to still say yes to spirit. So you've got $350 in your account, you sit down, you do the math, you're like, wow, this is going to cost me $40,000. You still say, wow, spirit, this is going to be fun. How are we going to make this happen? But the answer is yes. right? And there's a difference between the spirit of that openness and receptivity versus, well, I've got to make a plan. The yes and open receptivity is very divinely feminine, and the well, I need to make a plan is divinely masculine. Both of these energies are important, but ultimately over these next couple of days, I'm going to be working with you all to make sure that you're using both of these wisely in your pursuit of your career, okay? And the divine feminine is receptive. And here's the thing with divine feminine energy. She is, divine feminine energy is wild. It is uncontainable. I shouldn't say that. I take that back. It is wild, but it is channelable. It is not containable, but it is channelable. Okay. I think we run into trouble when we try to contain divine feminine energy as opposed to directing it and going with the flow of it and shaping it, right? Trying to lock divine feminine energy down too much, I think results in sickness. I think it results in misaligned energy and some problems. Yeah. Yes, it is. It's like a river, right? Like a wild, rapid river. And your job is to learn how to not harness it, but to ride that river. Hold on 1 second here. Oops. Here we go. There she is. Okay. So let me go check on my notes here, make sure I'm not too far off track. Right. Okay. So here's the thing. I wanted to make sure I throw this out here. We're not going to talk about money today, okay? I'm happy to talk to you about money in a different series, but I don't think that money is something that we need to worry about here. And here's my point. Money is about your mindset. So, and this is the ultimate point, because I said that I had $350 in my account, and yet I did a move that cost me $40,000. And the question is, well, where'd that money come from? Well, it came from my mindset, because when I only had $350 in my account, I was contracting, I was withdrawing, and my bank account was simply following my mindset as it should do. But when Spirit gave me the imperative that I'm going to, go to Spain and go to Cambodia and live in France, it gave me it opened my heart, it opened my mind. And all of a sudden, my mindset became very expansive. And immediately, money started pouring in, opportunities started pouring in. I got all these offers and I signed up all these clients. And then I found myself having all the money I needed to fund my travels. So here's the point. When Spirit leads you to an opportunity that requires a significant financial investment or a financial investment that challenges you, don't shut down because you don't visibly see your money, okay? What I want you to do is to really focus on that thing, that feeling, and see how you can use that feeling to bring in more resources and to connect with people who might have a beautiful apartment for you in Spain when you get there, or that might lead you to some wild opportunity that you never even dreamed of. That's what happened when I went to Spain. At one point, I went to Spain and I was in an artist's retreat. I never knew I would be in an artist's retreat. Never thought about that. But I went there and I think it cost me $1,500 for 3 months. So I was able to hang out there and live in this incredible place and have the most amazing experience. But this was because Spirit had I was letting spirit do its job, okay? And when you are allowing spirit to work through you, everything aligns and gives you what you need. So you need to just be that person who has that ultimate thing. For me, it was traveling and building my business while I was living abroad and doing some deep healing work, right? So I became that woman who easily traveled. Her travels came easily. She had beautiful accommodations around the world. She was always safe, and her healing was going really, really deep. Tons of connection, tons of support. That's what I wanted to be. That's what I needed to be. And I want to just lastly, this is going to be the last thing I say about the money. I want you to remember that money, the acronym is my own natural energy yield. And that came from the Abundance book by John Randolph, I think his name is. My own natural energy yield. So when you are flowing and you are creating and you are aligned with spirit, your money flows from that natural alignment. And likewise, when you are building your coaching business or you are working in your healing business, you're building your farm, you're building your workshop, okay? That passion and love that you're putting in is your natural energy yield. And money is going to naturally follow that. Now, of course, you can look at your mindset and you can see where you might be contracting from money, but you can also look at where you're contracted and do the work to open and expand. So as you're working on your business, you should also be working on your money mindset. Okay. All right. Now, your divine life purpose is your reason for coming to earth, okay? Again, I'm going back to talking about that feeling that's inside. And again, that feeling is a part of the divine feminine, okay? Now, you can choose to pursue your divine life purpose or not, right? Nobody's going to get mad at you. But for me, if you're living and breathing, why on earth would you not pursue your divine life purpose? Okay. Certainly pursuing your divine life purpose is hard. There's some challenges, but is it really hard? Because isn't it also hard to live your life not honoring your soul? Like, Cora, with you and your farm, and just type any response you want to give me there. With you and your farm, I know that it is full of challenges, and you got a farm with goats and cats and ducks and whatever else you got on that farm. But wouldn't it be weird and kind of, I don't know, would it be weird to not be doing that thing? That's my question. And the same thing for you, Rebecca, because I know that you made this move, and that's quite a badass decision that you made. And from what you've shared, it sounds like, a pretty badass decision. Would it have been easier to stay? I mean, yes, it would have been easier as far as your comfort zone was concerned, but I'm just wondering what's your opinion? Do you feel like it's harder or easier to stay? Cora says, yeah, right? Yeah, and I think, Cora, I understand because, again, I see you pouring your blood, sweat, and tears into your farm. And it's challenging to create, a brick and mortar, to have a tangible thing that you're building. And I know that moving is physically challenging, and emotionally challenging as well. But for me, the ignoring the calling creates hair loss, anxiety, sadness, depression, lethargy, right? Yeah, Rebecca says staying would have been harder as it did not feel aligned to where I was. That's exactly my point. And with that misalignment, for me, comes overeating, drinking too much, not doing my work, no creativity flowing, can't sit down to meditate, can't exercise. Just a lot of things don't work for me when I'm not pursuing my divine life purpose. Cora says the challenges make us stronger. It's true. The challenges of working on your farm, on your business. For me, I'm challenged to work on my business. Just to put this presentation together is challenging, right? But the challenges make us stronger. Yes, exactly. And Rebecca says that she felt like her life was on hold. Absolutely. So that is exactly my point. And I thank you all for participating with me. Okay. I want to move us along. And I want to ask you all to do a little something. First of all, I want to just give you a little bit more of a definition of what I mean by the divine feminine. I just want to give you some keywords that I wrote down. Okay. And the words I'm about to give you, the things I'm about to say, are not even capturing 1/100th of what the divine feminine energy is. But I want to share this with you just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay. So this is something, though, that you can explore on your own. And I do encourage you to expand and explore the divine feminine energy on your own. Okay. But I like to think of it as wild, pure energy. The divine feminine is creative. It's rich, like it makes me think of really dark, rich soil. In the forest here where I am in France, it's got this beautiful forest, really, really, it's a verdant area. And the soil is just really dark, brown, rich. And you can smell this wonderful earth. For me, that is, the texture, like just beautiful, rich soil is divine feminine energy. Divine feminine energy is profound, it's abundant, and it's full of nutrition. Like that earth is full of minerals, right? That is divine feminine energy. I'll also think of it as the black of the sky, right? So you look out at the sky and you see the stars, but the divine feminine is the canvas on which the stars are shining, or against which the stars are shining. Yeah. It's the edge of creation, and it's the canvas on which life is created. It's the void, right? And the more we expand to becoming ourselves, the more the divine feminine is nourished, right? So in our human form, the divine feminine energy lives inside us as Kundalini energy. And that is the energy that rests at our base chakra, or the Muladhara chakra, or the root chakra, okay? So Shakti is the Hindu goddess of divine feminine. She is the divine feminine in Hinduism. And excuse me, Kundalini is the gift that Shakti gives us as her children. That is her energy. Our power, our source comes from that base chakra and the Kundalini. And the divine feminine is the place from which all life originates. She's the womb, right? She's also the tomb, okay? And when, as creators, as entrepreneurs, as spiritual healers, as spiritual coaches, we are receiving life force energy through all of our chakras, okay? And we touch it, we experience it, we can know divine feminine energy through our feelings, through our emotions, but also through our receptivity to ideas, thoughts, and concepts. And I should also say through our empathy, through our compassion, right? Through our emotions like this, through our feeling nature, through our sadness, through our rage, we are experiencing and expressing divine feminine energy. And with ideas, thoughts, and concepts, that is divine feminine energy. But when it becomes an idea, thought, and a concept, it's really starting to move into the masculine, okay? So really divine feminine energy is more about the energy that is there, the things that are there, but then our brain gets hold of it, okay, and turns it into an idea or a concept. So for example, I have a feeling, the divine feminine sends me a feeling of nostalgia, and I've labeled it nostalgia, okay? And that labeling is very masculine, all right? But the feeling is nostalgia. And there's an image in my mind of a nice, rich cup of dark chocolate, hot chocolate with cream, all right? I'm feeling that. I'm feeling something that I would call decadence. I'm feeling lusciousness. I'm feeling richness, right? That's the feminine part of me, but the labeling of it is the masculine, if that makes sense, all right? So that is what the divine feminine is, okay? And what I want to do is give you all a little test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play 1 minute of meditative music, and I want you just to relax your mind, okay? And then I'm going to tell you a problem that I'm having. And I want you just to receive the problem. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to avoid thinking about the problem, okay? But I want you to receive me, I want you to receive what I'm saying, receive my problem, but don't rationalize it. Don't try to give the right answer. I want you to intuit and to feel, okay? So then what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to pull a tarot card that is going to be a response from to that problem, okay? And then I'm going to show you the card, and I want you to use your intuition to read the card, but I don't want you to use your rational mind, okay? The rational mind is your thinking self, your masculine self. I want you to flow your answer, all right? Does that make sense? If you have any questions, please just type your questions into the chat, okay? So Cora says it makes sense. And again, so just to give you a quick recap, I'm going to play music for 1 minute. And that's just to get you into a little bit more of a relaxed state. Then I'm going to tell you a problem that I'm having, okay? And then I'm going to pull a tarot card, and then I'm going to show you the card, and I'm going to ask you to read the card for me using just your receptive nature, allowing yourself to flow, all right? And you'll be able to type your answers in, so that way you can participate at the level that you want to. Okay, so I left my cards on my desk back there, so I'm going to just hop back there and get them, but I'm going to be letting you listen to this music in the meantime. Hold on 1 second. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of Rachmaninoff. Wait, hold on a second. All right, awesome. Okay, here we go. Hold on one second. Actually, you know what? I realized 1 second here. Let me do it this way. I think this is going to be the best way. All right. So we've got a few people who have joined us here. Hi. I see Isodine and Lainey. Hey. So if you all will just keep yourselves muted, I'm going to just ask you to chat. And, hold on 1 second. Where'd that music come from? Okay. Wait, but I don't know where it's playing from. Okay. Well, I'm going to just pause that for a second. So, okay, boom. I've gotten the music, and we're not doing Rachmaninoff because I realized for these videos, you have to have the right to play something in a video. And it just occurred to me that I don't have the right to play that, but I have the right to play this one. So, all right. So again, I want you all just to relax right now and tune into your receptivity and your intuition. And I'm going to go grab my cards while you're listening and just meditating for a few moments. Here we go. Okay, so my dear tarot card readers, I am having some trouble with my physical body, with my muscles and my joints. And I'm trying to take better care of myself, but I keep meeting with obstacles and challenges. And so I'd like a reading about my body, my physical health. All right. Now, I'm going to see if I can get this right here. Get this in there. This is the card. So I want you to type in your response, your reading. And I don't want you to use your logical mind. I want you just to let this card talk to you. Let the feminine talk to you through the image on this card and the feelings that you have in your body. And if you would just type in whatever comes up for you in the chat, that would be helpful. Shh. All right. Very good. So Cora has typed in flow, cycles, balancing mind, body, and spirit. Oh, I really love that. That makes actually a lot of sense. Ooh, Cora. That's great. I want to see if Izodine and Lainey, if you all have some input for me.
I don't know where to put it. I don't know how to type it. Where do I type?
Go ahead and say it. Hi, Lainey.
Hi. Good morning, sunshine.
What would you say? So what comes to you as you are looking at the card?
Ooh. You need that. Not sure what to say. Are we supposed to look at the feeling that I get is hope in your friendship. It's important for friendships right now. Find your tribe.
Do you want to say anything else?
Well, it looks like there's hands reaching out to be together in one place.
Yeah. Look, okay, so Lainey, that was awesome. Thank you very much. That's perfect. Okay, so it's to me, I find this to be really just beautiful because Cora is accustomed to reading tarot. She knows this stuff and she's accustomed to using her connection with the divine feminine. Okay, she's accustomed to that. She's very tuned in. And so she gave me a very good reading. She said flow, cycles, balancing mind, body, and spirit, right? And when she said that, I mean, interestingly, just yesterday, I was writing in my journal about the cycles of my body. I was analyzing my runs and, analyzing my relationship with my body. And I said, there are cycles that I need to listen to in my body. So I really love Love Core's response. Now, interestingly, with Lainey, if I'm not mistaken, Lainey, you don't read tarot at all, right?
Right.
Right. And you kind of gave a really good, I mean, almost the exact meaning of what the Three of Cups represents. This card is the Three of Cups, okay? And it talks about friendship and friends coming together. And this thought of, you need to find your tribe is incredibly, it's an incredible statement, because this card is about being with your tribe. And one of the things that I've been really looking forward to is getting back into the city so that I can find so that I can run and exercise with other marathoners, right? And I'm right outside the city in the suburbs. And so I have a hard time getting together for the runs with my tribe. So thank you so much, you all, for giving me your feedback. It's wonderful. Just beautifully proving my point. Okay, so here's what I want to say, and then we're going to move very quickly into the last section here. The point is that the divine feminine is always there for you. You don't need to worry about, and you don't need to rely on your book smarts, your education. Those things are good, okay? And you will never hear me bash the divine masculine, ever, okay? You will never hear me bash logic or rationale, and you'll never hear me bash education. But what I want to say is that being a spiritual life coach, being a spiritual healer, requires that you tune into another part of yourself, that feminine part of yourself, that divine feminine energy, the Kundalini, the Shakti energy, and use that. Okay. Lainey didn't need to know, Cora didn't need to know the meaning of the Three of Cups. All they had to do was be willing to feel, like Lainey said, I feel hope. I feel like you need to find your tribe. You see, that was such a fantastic example of just raw, pure, divine feminine energy, coming through. So as you go forward with moving into opening up your business or launching your business, the thing that you need to know and remember always is that everything you don't consciously know is there for you to just ask the divine feminine. She will either tell you, and the problem is that she will tell you, she'll tell you fully everything you need to know, okay? And you'll have to do something with it. This is the problem, that you actually have to do something with all that beautiful wisdom, that knowledge that she's going to give you access to. Okay. Now, the other thing is, when you're going to do your business, you must, okay, and I'm giving you an imperative. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'm telling you what to do, okay? You need both the divine feminine, that willingness to feel. How does this feel for me? I need to set up a budget. How does that feel? Let me feel my way through my budget. Let me feel my way through my spending plan. You also need the divine masculine. Let me make sense of what she just said. She says she wants to buy a new massage table, and she wants to buy all these essential oils, and she wants to buy a big old amethyst because she feels that's going to raise her vibration. Okay. Let me just put that in a budget. Okay. So that's where you use the divine feminine to bring you all those beautiful insights and to bring you desire. The divine feminine is what gives you your desire. And then the divine masculine is what delivers your desire. Now, In our next session, which is in a couple days, I'm going to be talking to you about using the divine masculine to organize your business, to structure your business, and to help you do a thing that many spiritual people and creative people have a hard time doing, which is following through, getting a great idea from the divine feminine and starting it. We all do that very easily. Getting a great idea from the divine feminine, starting it, and then finishing it is kind of a different story. So what we want to make sure we do is we receive from the divine feminine, we use the energy, we use our emotions, our feeling nature, our ability to visualize and to imagine, okay, to really bring it to development fully within ourselves. But then we have to do physical work, action, to do all the individual steps to make things real in the material world, okay? Now, if you all have any questions about anything I've said, please type them into the chat, all right? And this last thing that I want to do is I want you to create within yourself a space of willingness to learn, okay? So what I want to ask you to do, I'm going to read you some statements, and then I want you to, in your journal or just in your mind, I want you to think about how these statements make you feel and what you think about the statement, okay? Now, ideally, you would write this statement down and then you would say it out loud. But actually, I just realized I'm going to make this a little bit easier, okay? And actually, I'm going to do it like this because I now see that I have let's see, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to put the words in the chat, okay? Hold on a second. Okay, here comes your first quote, okay? And the idea is to say it out loud and see how it makes you feel and what thoughts come up for you, okay? Then I want you to jot those things down or make note of them. So the first one is, I will create a strong business with a solid foundation within 12 months. How does that make you feel? What does it make you think? And just take a few moments to do that. Okay, and here comes the next quote. I know how to coach people and help them have measurable improvements in their lives. And feel free to alter these, if you're not a coach or, you're working with people in different capacity, feel free to adjust the statement so that it has more meaning for you and what it is you need, right? Okay, and here comes the next statement. I know how to help people heal emotional pain and trauma. Here's the next statement. I know how to tell my story. I know how to tell my story of pain and trauma and how I overcame it. And here's the last one. I know how to create meaningful content, and I know how to share it to build an audience. What I want to ask you to do just for these last few minutes is if you'd like, you can unmute yourself or you can type your message into the chat. My question is, how did you feel about those statements? What were kind of the overall, what was the overall tone of the statements? And how do you feel about them? What did you notice in your feelings? I know when I first was starting out, Cora says, like, Buck, yeah, I got this as long as you stay practical. Yeah, exactly, Cora. Yeah, exactly. The thing I like about that statement is that there's a recognition of Cora's own potential, maybe over dominance of the divine feminine, in that you said, as long as you stay practical, meaning Cora might go off and be not so practical, which is super divine feminine. So Cora, thank you for nailing that. Okay, that's excellent. And Cora says, I've been thinking about Carl Jung and the marriage of the Anima and the Animus, which is, of course, our divine masculine and feminine. He talked about bringing those together as synergy, syzygy, and I need more balance. Yes, very good. Very good. I think we all do, Cora. I think we all do. And for me, when I first started off as a life coach, that first statement, I will create a strong business with a solid foundation within 12 months, that felt really exciting to me. And I had no trepidation. When I got to the next question, I know how to coach people and help them have measurable improvements in their lives. That felt weird to me. Like, I thought, I know how to coach people, but I'm like, do I know how to help them have immeasurable improvements in their lives? Not really. And that next one, I know how to help people heal emotional pain and trauma. I thought, yeah, I can do that. And then I know how to tell my story of pain and trauma and how I overcame it. No, I did not know how to tell that story, because every time I started telling that story, I would go all crazy and I'd get really mad because I had a lot of unresolved pain and anger and emotions that were just out of control. And the next one, I know how to create meaningful content and I know how to share it to build an audience. When I first started out, for me, I did not know. I knew how to create content, but I did not know how to create meaningful content. I knew how to share things, but I did not know how to share things to build an audience. So the thing that I want to leave you all with is the understanding that everything you need is here, right? It's here within yourself, but it's also here in the world for you. So as you're going forward with elevating your lifestyle and you're looking at improving your career, the idea is to understand that you can do it. If your aspiration is to become a creative coach, like it was for Rebecca, or to build a farm or, you know, a brick and mortar wellness studio, whatever it is your desire is, okay, like Cora has her farm, whatever that desire is, you can learn all the tools you need to make that real. You can learn how to build meaningful content. You can learn how to help people overcome trauma. You can learn how to tell your story. I know how to talk about my story now. I know what's important for other people and what's not important for other people, right? Everything that you need, you can learn. You just have to be willing. And your book smarts are not the important thing in this work. You'll be accountable to some book smarts, okay? And you have some book smarts, okay? But the thing that's going to be your biggest ally is what Cora talked about, marrying your divine feminine receptive self with your divine masculine active self, right? Taking information that you receive and then taking action on what you've received. Okay? Cool. Any questions, y'all? Lainey, it's so good to see you. Cora, it's so good to see you. It's good to hear you. You don't have your videos on. If you want to turn your videos on, you can. If you want to, you can. Huh?
I don't know how to type in.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm just happy to hear your voice. Yeah, good. Well, look, I want to thank you all for joining me here today. This was just awesome. And I'll be back in 2 days with the Divine Masculine, looking at that stuff and talking about how to follow through, okay? We'll also be talking about habits and things like that in that section. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, y'all. Thanks again for joining me. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for the card reading, Lainey. Thanks for the card reading, Cora. Just got a free card reading.
Bye, sweet.
All right. See y'all later. Bye. Bye. See you, Cora.